Is that it? Okay. Oh, then people miss my joke. Okay. I'm here representing the mobile services team. We're one of two departments of public services that is not a branch, so we're a little unique in that regard. And so we always love talking about all that we do in support of the branches and in support of our community. Slides. Perfect. No, that's great. Wonderful. Okay, so we have started to think about mobile services as having 5 arms of service. We, without going too far back into the history of mobile services, during my time with Kitsap Regional Library, it actually was 2 different departments. We had an outreach department and a bookmobile. Those then morphed at some point and became one. And around 2020 COVID, services really dropped down to just be providing home delivery service. And in the last couple of years, we have brought some of these additional services, while still doing our home delivery service, have brought on additional services. And I think it really has added a new purpose to our department in how we impact other branches as well as our public. So we're happy to be here to talk about this. Home delivery is our kind of our foundational service that we provide. And home delivery is essentially, let's flip that slide, we provide services, library services, to qualifying individual homes, so homebound patrons, as well as to senior facilities. We provide consistent monthly delivery service in partnership with branch libraries. And we have about 8 delivery routes and 250 plus visits monthly. And so as people are not able to come to the library, we bring services to them. And we'll even go as far as printing out research articles and other sorts of things for folks just so they have access to all the library has to offer to the best of our ability. We engage them with our summer learning program as well. And some of these folks in our community are on the program long term. Some are just perhaps had surgery and are not mobile for 6 months or so. We will also put them on the service. So people come and go, and some of our patrons have been with us for many years. And so it's a very, very quiet service that the library provides, but we've been providing it for years. And so we like to spread the word about it as often as we can. We have 8 routes that we do every month. So we provide services on Bainbridge Island, North Kitsap, Poulsbo, Central Kitsap, including Seebeck area, East Bremerton, West Bremerton, Port Orchard, and South Kitsap. And more recently, we conducted, and Carly was leading this project, Carly Jeffries, conducted a pilot with the Kingston branch for all the North Kitsap routes. So they help us with the circulation of materials, which takes hours and hours to process circulation of materials, allowing us to drive and then connect with our patrons. And so having their support as we piloted this went really well. And now we're rolling it out to the Sylvan Way branches in Manchester as well. So leaning on them for some of our circulation tasks. And by circulation, I mean check-out, check-in, handling of materials. And so being able to have that extra support from them allows us to take on more patrons in the home delivery service. And so that partnership with Kingston has been fantastic. And so we're now slowly rolling it out to the other branches as well. And we appreciate their partnership. They've made that part very easy for us. And again, it allows us to focus on other parts of our work. And here is a wonderful quote from that Carrie Driscoll provided us. And I'm sorry, I'm going to read it to you, but it's really worth it. A donor made a lovely end-of-year gift. And when I called to thank her, she raved about mobile services. She was introduced to home delivery by a resident, so another resident at her facility, and she enjoys it so much. It really helped her with her adjustment to her senior living facility, and now she always tells new residents about the service as well. It sounds like you go above and beyond, which seems to be the norm for your team, which has been made her a loyal user and supporter of the library. Thanks for all you do. It means so much to the people you serve. And here was another one, and I'm going to shout out Carly again. Our library, this came from a patron up in Poulsbo. Our library home delivery is so much appreciated every month. Today, however, was very appreciated. It took extra care for our delivery today. She had to park the van due to a propane Northwest truck being stuck in the middle of our dirt road, blocking the way, and then walk the books the rest of the way, above and beyond on a rainy day. Thank you for your determination to keep our book delivery. And so more often, this has happened since then, where we're traipsing on roads because people need their books and their DVDs. They need their connection to the library. And so let me follow my notes here. Apologies. Our second service of our 5 arms of service are our Thrive collections, and this is only possible because of the KRL Foundation. They provide the funding for all of these books, and we've rolled out this program last year or a year and a half ago, and it's really taken shape in a beautiful way. And currently, our current partners for this program, and essentially what we're doing is being very intentional. We have MOUs with all these partners, but we're providing books to very specific populations or in identified areas of need. And so we provide books in English and Spanish, mostly board books, which are for the littles, to KidVantage, Bremerton Hub, and they provide us data back, but they actually go in pairing with like diapers to new families, to new homes that maybe can't afford diapers on their own. That's one example that was given to us by KidVantage. And so they serve birth through 5 throughout all of Kitsap, but the hub is in Bremerton, so their main warehouse. Kitsap County Corrections, I misspoke and said that Thrive Collections, that branding is new from the last year and a half. We've actually been serving the county jail for 7+ years with materials, but we transitioned from sending them used books to now being able to provide new books that support the reentry program and their caseworkers. So we're really intentional about the materials that we're sending. We've always, or for many years, have sent used books, but now we're actually able to support the reentry work that they're doing at Kitsap County Corrections. So that's been kind of the switch over recently. Kitsap County Court's family reunification celebrations, we're there, and we're providing books to families as parents are reunited with their children. We're able to be in that space, and we've been invited back year after year now a couple times, and I have a quote that I'll share about that. Kitsap Mental Health Services Youth and Adult Inpatient Care Programs, and so we're able to provide books because those folks are not able to come to us. And that's both for teens as well as adults. This one's in progress, being a part of the birthday cake program with Bremerton Food Line, and should go into effect in the fall, but they provide birthday cakes and gifts to kids that need that extra support, so we're going to put books with those in those moments. And then Doc Loves the Kids neighborhood pop-ups. We do 3 to 4 specifically with Doc in neighborhoods, mostly in Bremerton, but it could be anywhere in Kitsap, where we have separate collections of books that we have just for his events. And so we partner with him, show up to the events, usually in parking lots in housing complexes. And so we're able to team up with them. And he keeps inviting us back, so I consider that to be a good sign. And these are just the very specific partnerships. We still will provide books for other sorts of outreach events. We were at Kids Day on Saturday at Lions Park, and we had books for those spaces too. But having these MOUs with these partners and having agreements with these partners really speaks to our commitment to continue in this work, in this very intentional work, in very intentional ways. So, and here's some of the books, just for fun. I needed some photos. We tend to not take a lot of photos. We do have some, but we're busy doing the work, and not everyone wants their photos taken. So we don't take photos of our home delivery patrons. We don't take photos in these spaces. And so when we do, we try to share them, but we're fairly intentional about that. Oh, here's that quote I mentioned from Kitsap County Superior Court Commissioner. Thank you once again for helping us with our Reunification Day event. We've been doing this for many years, and I thought yesterday's event was one of our best, thanks in large part to your participation. I would not be in the position I am today if it wasn't for the staff of the West Garden Grove Library who cultivated my love of reading. Hopefully, we made a few connections like that yesterday. And we did this outreach in partnership with the Port Orchard branch as well. So Mobile can't take credit for this. This was Port Orchard. We just get the benefit of being able to provide that extra layer of support for things that are already happening. So we get to tell all these stories in one place, but really these partnerships are happening in the branches in the community all the time. Outreach support. Sorry, I'm going to keep rambling at you. I could talk about this for at least 3 hours, and I'm sure everyone on my team could as well. We really care about this work. Outreach support and large program support. So this is something that we're in our second summer of doing. And essentially for the outreach events and like large field trips in schools, we provide that quiet layer of support for the branches in the communities that they serve. So they may find out about an outreach and they say, hey, we need extra staff. We need a van to bring a heavy canopy to meet us on site. We need whatever layer we need, of support. And then we show up with that, with staff, with extra support, and provide hands in order to make that outreach or that large program possible. And so I pulled some really rough numbers. I think these are low, but we kind of keep a tracking spreadsheet. So far this year, we've done 31 events, and these are just the ones that branches asked for our help with. These are not necessarily the outreaches. They would be more than this across the system. These are just the ones that were possible because we were able to pitch in. We had 8,193 interactions, and we just added a couple. My team told me they added 203 from a thing on Saturday, so count that number to be higher. And then so far scheduled, we have 15 more events through the end of the year. And so that makes us feel really good because we're being used as a resource and a support for the outreaches that are happening across the community. And so those are the ones that are currently on our schedule for between now and December, which is pretty amazing. And then here is just a wonderful kind of impact. When I always think about outreaches, I think, hey, we're taking care of our people, as we, in all these spaces, because we are a utility. The public library is a utility. That's how I like to think about how we exist. People are paying for us, they pass levies, they vote for us, and being in these spaces, doing programs, doing outreach, having good materials, having our doors open, that is what they get for as part of that utility. We're here to serve people. And so this was a good example. Cindy, our adult services librarian at Sylvan Way, while on the help desk, I assisted a patron using our printing system for the first time. He said he recognized me from a recent outreach at an inpatient facility. Remember that mention of Kitsap Mental Health? He thanked me for helping him get a library card at that outreach and said, we make a real difference in people's lives. So we went to him in a place and during a time when he could not come to a library. And then he came back and actually found his way into the library. So that was pretty. It gives me chills. Here's salmon tours. See, we're out in all sorts of weather. This is in November up at a salmon viewing site in North Kitsap that we did in partnership with the North Kitsap and Poulsbo libraries. And we do all sorts of activities, but this was just a great picture, and I just love the little boy intensely holding up the umbrella. It was just, the whole exchange was really funny and fantastic, and they have little salmon hats on. Do you see the little hats that they colored and have salmon on their heads? So the whole thing was fantastic. It was worth sharing that. And then here's us with UFO umbrellas that Port Orchard or Manchester or both that they actually made, and we had at the Fathoms of Fun, and I forgot to take photos of that event, but we reused them at Silverdale, and this is at Whaling Days. And you can tell there's a couple dogs, and those are now, those dogs are in every parade that we do, and they've become famous. And here's more books from just an outreach that we did so we had 2 different outreaches that were all day on Saturday, and we split up, one in Bremerton and one in Poulsbo. And here are some of the amazing photos of people picking through the books, being really excited to kind of go back to school and to have books at home. We love our library books, but library cards can be a barrier. People aren't quite used to them, and so by having books available for people to take, it kind of helps break down that conversation of the libraries being a punitive place. Because if you do any research on first-generation library users, it often takes multiple generations for people to learn how to use the library and to be comfortable with it. So how do we get those first-generation library users? And I actually published an article on this some years ago, so if anyone wants a copy, I'm happy to share. This is my passion. So. And here's another photo. People just literally, we had a line from the one in Lions Park, and we finally just put bins of books out, and people took, and it was a really joyful moment. We did this with the downtown Bremerton MLK branch. All right. And then, I'd be remiss, I want to ask Lynn if she wants to share about crafting community real quick, because this is a new thing that we're rolling out, and she says it so much better than I can.
Good evening. My name is Lynn Stone. I have been with the library for more than 20 years, and I'm really excited about this new project that we're going to be starting. So I wanted to speak briefly about it. One of our most successful programs at the Sylvan Way Library has been the program that we call Crafting Community. It's a time for everyone to come together and draw or quilt or do needlepoint. And so it's really fun. We have a lot of different people. We have younger people, we have older people, and it's been a really exciting time to see the connections that people have made. If somebody asked me what my favorite part of working for the library is, I would say making connections, both the connections that I make with patrons at the desk and outside of the library, and also the connections that patrons make with each other and with the library itself. So I have a chance now to take Crafting Community out on the road. I'm going to be taking it out to several different low-income adult living facilities. The first one is going to be the Pearl, which is here in West Bremerton, and I'm very excited about that. And I can't wait to see what connections I get to make with new patrons and what connections they make with each other and with the library. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Lynn. Crafting Community, if you ever come in on a Tuesday morning to Sylvan, you'll see the big table in front. We set up that space specifically because Crafting Community was growing so much, and often their activities need big table space. And so it's a really wonderful way to, all are welcome, and it's a wonderful way to keep your hands busy and to connect with people. So, all right. We're almost there. We're at number 4 of our 5 arms of service, library lockers. There isn't much to say on this, and honestly, Mike probably would be able to share more on it, but I'll just briefly kind of flip through. We're looking at launching a book locker. Currently, there is this one over at the Poulsbo Library, but it's directly outside of the library, and it does get significant use. And so what could we do with the help of mobile services to provide this sort of access away from a library branch? And so CBEC seemed like a reasonable place to start. I actually have a personal connection in that when I was the Silverdale branch manager some years ago, they built a volunteer kind of library in CBEC, and I got to advise on that project. And so personally, it's really fun that we're now putting a library locker at that same site. And so so that'll come fall, winter, as soon as we get the locker in and get it all settled in place. And my team will learn how to do that. And then we'll be making regular deliveries in partnership with the Silverdale branch so they could handle a lot of our circulation. So we'll be doing that work with them. We don't need to bring all those books back to Sylvan. They can go to their nearest library location. And so we're the drivers for that. And so we're very excited to see what will come of this and how many other lockers would make sense for us. I like to think of them as like Bookmobile 2.0. It's what the Bookmobile did, but we had very limited hours, and our hours didn't always meet our patron need because they didn't always match their schedule. So this allows us to match the schedule of folks 24/7. And this section will be even smaller because there's only one slide of it. But express libraries are our fifth arm of service, and those are to be determined. And we're very excited about what's to come for those. We're also working with IT at thinking about what pop-up tech help could look like. What about wireless printers that we can put in the vans? What other vehicles could we need to be able to provide digital literacy and digital support in other parts of the county? We don't need more branches. What we need is to fill in the gaps of service. And so same thing with express libraries. What could we do to have a presence in kind of lobby spaces or other sorts of pop-up spaces throughout the county in existing buildings? I actually personally did something similar to this where we planted a digital library in the courthouse when I was in Texas. And that's what we did is I planted a number of libraries. And it saw 700 people a day receiving services in an area because they were trapped in the jury room for that day. And so we went where people were. And so that's kind of part of the vision of this is where are people at and how do we get to them if they can't come to us? So there's our contact information on our website if you want to learn more. That's more for the general public. And if there's any questions about any of that.
Questions? All right, well, I have questions.
Okay.
Thank you. So one, you have your information for people to contact, but how does someone typically get on the route? How do people find out about the mobile services?
That is a good question, and we're trying to get the word out as much as possible. Usually in their branches, if someone, and often it happens in those quiet moments where someone is struggling to come into a branch for one reason or another. Maybe they aren't able to return their items on time. Maybe they're having significant mobility issues and they're struggling to get in to a branch. We do offer them curbside service at all of our branches, but maybe that's not quite enough. And so often it happens in quiet conversations with staff, like, hey, have you thought about our home delivery service? And then they'll submit an application and folks will generally qualify. We often rely on the activity directors of our senior facilities. We have an aging population in Kitsap County, so there are a lot of senior facilities, and often folks aren't able to leave on a regular basis. It depends on if they're in independent living or memory care. And so often we're leaning on the directors of those senior facilities and if they have staff turnover, we introduce ourselves to the next round of employees at those facilities and say, hey, this service is available. Please use us, please recommend us, and they'll even help people get signed up. And then we partner with other organizations like Meals on Wheels that does a lot of promotion, and we do cross-promotion, of course. And so we look for any way that we can get to people, but I think we need help in that. I think that's something because people need service, and sometimes they come off of service. We do have a number of patrons that go on to service and then pass away within a couple of years. And so that is a kind of part of our reality in the department that we're in. And so then spaces open up, and so we do have capacity to serve more patrons. So.
Outside of books and DVDs, what are some of the other things that patrons check out?
Yeah, so books, DVDs, audiobooks, they can check out e-readers in our home delivery program, which is very exciting. So we will load books for them. Any of the kits, you could get a telescope through the library, any of the early learning kits, and we have some adult like science and STEM kits. And so anything that you can check out in the library, a ukulele, any of those things you could get through home delivery.
They're getting one of the coveted telescopes.
Yes.
I'm going to get one day.
It's a long wait list, but it's well worth it. Absolutely.
So I was really surprised to hear that the library's been serving the jails for over 7 years. Mm-hmm. And so that's really exciting. Any thoughts to expand to families that are working with folks that are in recovery, folks that are dealing with post-acute withdrawal symptoms, things like that, and providing resources for folks that are coming out of treatment and detox, things like that?
Absolutely. If we get invited to anything, we will be there, right? So any of those meetings or spaces, we do try to share, like with Bremerton Food Line, Kitsap Mental Health, we provide them resources that they can then, their caseworkers can pass on. And so we try to reach people in any way we can, and we're looking for opportunities and partnerships all the time that would be a good fit for us. And so if you have any connections, we're in.
I'm definitely going to come seek you out. And the last thing I just have a comment is I'm just really excited to see what comes of the pop-up tech help, because there's a lot of folks that need a lot of help with digital literacy and technology. So really excited to see this.
Absolutely, I appreciate that. And we, specifically at Sylvan, because that's my experience, but at all the branches, often folks need hours of help. And so we will provide book librarians to them to be able to sit down with them. We connect them with other nonprofits in the area that provide digital literacy support and computer help and printer help. But we see how much that is needed. And so, and people come into our branches to receive help, and often we're too busy to be able to give them the amount of time that they need and really the sit-down time. And so we're hoping that this program will bridge some of those gaps.
I'll speak for the board and say that we appreciate your effort and the effort of the team, and keep up the great work. Thank you so much.
Thank you.